morning. This is 7 a.m. On a Monday morning here in London. Hope you're all doing good. I had to stop to catch that sunrise. I just saw in the time lapse. I'm on my way to a swim, but I catch you in a minute to talk about my first month of Ironman training. So stay tuned. See you in a minute. Today I want to talk about how I train for my first ever long distance Ironman race. The race is in August in Hamburg, and now it's beginning of February, so leaves me another 6 months of training. I think it's important to understand where you're at before you make any plans on where you want to go or what you want to achieve. So understanding where I'm at should give you the opportunity to do a little bit of a comparison, just in case you are currently training for a race or you're planning to do one. And even if you're not planning to do an Ironman, maybe that gives you a little bit of an insight what it means to how much you actually need to train for, because there's some crazy numbers floating up like in the air on what you really need to do to be able to do an Ironman. So let's look at this timeline here that I put together. We've got race day in August 2017 coming up. Now is February 27, and let's just look at the past 2 years. The first event I want to talk about started in 2015. That's where I completed my first ever marathon in Vancouver. I finished in like 3:40, and it was one of the toughest experiences ever that I had. Next one, right after Vancouver, I moved like from my marathon to my first ever cycling race, which was in Sweden, in Motala. So I did Vätternrundan, which is a cycling ride, 180 miles, 300 kilometers around a beautiful lake, and that was amazing. I wish I had vlogged before so I could show you a video, but highly recommend that one. After the cycling one, I did another ride, a 100-mile ride here in London. It's called the Prudential, the most scenic and amazing bike ride that you can do here in London. Because Vancouver was so tough and I didn't hit my target, which was like sub 3:30, I signed up for Chicago, where I hit my target. I finished like in 3:29. So let's move like these medals of 2015 a bit aside, and we're going into 2016. This is where I did my first ever triathlon, the Blenheim Palace Triathlon. And there's a video here as well that I'm gonna link. And as you can see, that's kind of like where I made the transition to focus more on the swim, bike, run. And also like my swim training only started like at the end of 2015. So before that, just to give you a benchmark, I hadn't really been swimming at all. The triathlon Blenheim was a training race that led like to my biggest event, like my first ever half distance Ironman, which I did in Sweden, in Jönköping. After that, I was lucky enough to get into the Prudential ballot again in 2016, that 100-mile bike ride in London, which I did. In 2016, I did my first ever swim-only event in Hyde Park. There's a video as well that I can link, a 1-mile swim. And last but not least, finished off in October with the Amsterdam Marathon. And yeah, I improved my time slightly from Chicago, which was great. And right after that one, which takes us to, which was like here, like in October, actually, like in that period, I had an injury and I broke my shoulder, my AC joint. There's plenty of videos on my vlog as well. And now, yeah, this is where I'm at now. Now it's like I'm kind of like recovered, and 2017 marked like the beginning of my training, and that's where I'm all focused on now. So all these medals, I mean, they were just like the icing on the cake. It was the training and the build-up that led like to me being now confident enough that I can actually tackle like the full Ironman distance. All right, now that we've covered where I'm at, the before, like the last 2 years, let's focus on my training right now. I put together this sheet of paper, which I'm gonna zoom in now for you to be able to read it a little bit better. So in triathlon or long distance endurance sports, like we differentiate like in different phases. There's the base phase and the build phase. There's also like some peak phases or specialty phases, but let's focus on the base phase because that's where I'm at now. This is where you work on your base fitness and your solid foundation. On a high level, as you can see like on that paper, Combining running, cycling and swimming. I train between 7 and 10 hours a week. I try to do each discipline 3 times. And like every 4 and 6 weeks I plan on doing a rest and recovery week, which means I reduce the workload a little bit. So at the moment I am running between 3 and 4 times a week, a total time of between 3 and 4 hours, and I cover around 30 miles. I do my workouts based on a chart that I'm going to show you over here, which explains the intensity and the duration of your workouts. So what I've found, what I've heard is that a lot of pros, they do train, I mean, yeah, it's a bit pathetic, I compare myself to pro, but why not getting inspiration from pros? So they spend a lot of time training high intensity workouts and low intensity workouts. Whereas like people like myself try to be a bit more efficient and spend more time in that middle section. And that middle section is obviously like between the low intensity and the high intensity. I kind of like call it, you know, it's like your tempo runs when it comes to running, and your race pace would probably be in there. So what I'm trying to do here is I try to do 2 workouts that are on the far right side that work on the high intensity, which helps me improve my pace. So I try to do 1 hill sprint workout where I just look at hills and I run up and down the hills, and I do like Yasso 800s, which I try to do on track, and you run like 800s times 10 at a certain time. So I try to split my runs like into the right section and the left section, and at the moment I'm not really focusing on that middle bit. And the left section are the easy runs in the morning that I try to do before breakfast, or the long runs that I try to do like at an easy pace, between 10 and 16 miles total distance on a weekend. So I do all my cycling workouts indoors at the moment, on my Wahoo Kicker training, because yeah, I live in London, it's very cold in January, February, March, so, and dangerous as well. And I do 3 workouts a week, minimum 1 hour, maximum like 1.5 hours. And I find the indoor bike workouts actually like the easiest one, because I use Trainer Road, and there is a very structured base plan that I'm gonna show you over here that I follow, and it consists mainly of so-called threshold workouts, which work like between 80 and 95% of your functional threshold power, which is the power that you can sustain for about an hour. Last but not least, almost tempted to say my favorite discipline, even though it's the one that I started last, as you could tell in my where I'm at the beginning. The swimming, I swim 3 times a week, total swim time of around like 2 hours, and I do 3 different workouts. 1 workout's every Tuesday, like with my triathlon swim club. Thank you, Coach Paul. Like, he posts the workouts on this link over here, which I'm going to share with you, so you can have a look at the workouts. So they're team-based workouts, they're really nice. And then I do another workout. I mostly do like 12 times 100 meters, and before each workout I do drills to work on my technique. And then I do another workout where I do a bit of longer distance, like 300-400 sets, like 5 or 6 at this stage. So now that you've seen how I train for the Ironman, I don't really know where that amount of training is going to take me, what time I'm going to finish at, if I'm going to finish at all. You never know if anything happens. But as I mentioned earlier, I'm going to be prepared, and that's the workload that I can put in at the moment, to find a balance between, obviously I still work, and that's the juggle between work and training that I can sustain at this stage. I do hope you liked that video, found a little bit of inspiration in it. Give it a thumbs up if you did. If you have any feedback, any suggestions how I can make things better, please let me know. If you're not training for an Ironman, I'm still super curious, like, to hear, you know, whether you think I'm totally nuts, or whether you might find some inspiration and do a little bit of training as well, like in the triathlon field. And I actually think, like, I've heard some people saying, you know, you need to do like 20, 30 hours. I don't think you need that, like to do one. I think it's all about, you know, consistency, and that's why I love the sport of triathlon. I see it more as a lifestyle choice, like, you know, train every day, not crazy hours. I think like 1 hour should be in everyone's, you know, availability every day, like to train for 1 hour, and that's what I want to do. And if you do that long enough, that should hopefully be enough, you know, to even do crazy things like an Ironman. Anyway, that's about it. I am gonna see you in the next one, where we'll probably be talking more about, I'm not gonna tell you yet. Stay tuned, guys. See ya. Bye bye.